Everyone, and welcome to Let's Get Visible, a podcast for business owners helping them to grow, have a sustainable business, and get more visibility online. I'm Dawes Brown, and I'll be bringing you SEO and digital marketing tips, as well as interviews and conversations with other business owners. So, let's get started.
So today we are joined by Daniella Birch, who is a business oracle. Australian-born, Daniella Birch is well known in her industry for her unique abilities to get to any root cause issue within your business or personal life. With over 20 years experience working as an Akashic Record reader, she specializes in activating your true mission, accessing your soul gifts, and offering you new visions and pathways for individuals as well as companies. Daniella is especially guided to work with CEOs, business owners, upcoming leaders, and individuals, guided to create the 5D systems on Earth, such as new technology, or to be guided intuitively towards their higher calling. Daniella additionally communicates with the business entity consciousness, which is the blueprint of your business. By having this incredible information, you can be guided to take the pathways to manifest true success. Daniella offers her services for corporate health days, retreats, and monthly visits to your workplace as well. So let's welcome back to the Let's Get Visible podcast, Daniella. Yay!
Hi, Doreen. Such a pleasure to be on your show.
I'm so excited to have you back as a returning guest. And for those who didn't get to tune in to our previous episode that we did before, have I left out anything there with regards to your bio? Is there anything else you'd like to add in to what you do and how you serve and support others?
You nailed it, Doreen. I was very happy with what you said. And
Good.
that's pretty much me in a nutshell. Yeah.
Amazing. And as I read out in the intro, so over 20 years working in this space. So there's just so many different, obviously, experiences and things that you can share with us in today's session. And I can't wait to actually dig in to some additional things that we may not have covered in our first recording together. But today is really, yes, all about sharing, obviously, your gold and your value with our listeners. And one of the first things I really wanted to dive into, particularly with the type of work that you do, is in relation to authenticity in the context of business and personal branding. So I'd love to get your insights on this, whether that's personal experience or working with others, just around this component of business.
Well, yes, I've evolved a lot from the time that I started my work, which was really kind of getting myself out there as a relationship specialist. And I did a lot of tarot reading when I first started my career. And, you know, it became very saturated. And I got to a point where I was like, well, what is my true mission here? You know, what am I here to support people with? And that's when I really felt into the Akashic Records as a true master of that. And a lot of people don't really understand even now what that actually is.
Yep.
So that made it very difficult for me when I kind of started branding myself and really honoring that people weren't ready to hear that information, right? Because the Akashic Records is the spiritual library of the journey that you've had over thousands of lifetimes.
Yeah.
And by using it in a business sense, it really just helps you see new pathways of what you can do with your business.
Mm-hmm.
So when it came to being really authentic about who I am, it was really overcoming this, the stigma of being a psychic, as an example. Like, that isn't my true identity.
Yeah.
And I really had to work through a lot of the stuff of being different, being unique, someone that, wasn't normalized in society.
Yep. And that can be super tricky.
Yeah, even now, like, people kind of see the word business oracle and, well, what does that actually mean? Like, are you just a tarot reader? And absolutely so far from the truth. Like, I haven't picked up tarot cards for a very long time with a client. It's literally, I am a pure channel, tapping into, your soul's journey. And so that's who I'm connecting with, the soul part.
Excellent. And so for those who may not have had experience, with this side of business or haven't sort of dived into Akashic Records, is there like an example that you can provide for us if you were, let's say we were meeting up today, and I was having a session with you one-to-one. What are some of the things that you would do as part of that process?
Okay, so if I was working, let's just say you had 3 other employees in the business, I would just be, it just depends what the client wants. Sometimes the client wants to make sure that their clients are loyal to them. I may look at how they're interacting through email with, wanting to get new business as an example. And I'm kind of looking at it going, no, that's not very loving. You're being a little bit self-absorbed and it's all about you and what you can kind of, look, there's so many different ways that I work as a business oracle. Sometimes it's future visions. Well, if I make this decision, what's that going to look like?
Yes.
You're not giving your power to me. I'm just kind of like the spiritual guru. And oracles have been around since the Atlantean and the Egyptian times. Like I was called on, I've seen myself as someone that was the advisor. So I kind of see me like that.
Yeah, excellent. And I think that makes a whole heap of sense. When you say advisor, really that's what it is, guiding them through to different possibilities, but really tapping into, as mentioned in your intro as well, that blueprint to really manifest, success just in a different form and in a different way. And so have there been times when you have felt pressured in your own business, maybe to conform to certain trends? And if so, how did you manage this and how did you handle these types of situations?
Well, pretty much from the time I was on this planet, I felt very different. I felt very misunderstood. I felt as though I had to sort of fit into the box of where humanity was at. And it felt like I was very depressed and had a lot of anxiety growing up because I was kind of pressured to be that person. And as I've sort of evolved this life, I have really realized that it is so important to be true to yourself. Like, even though you may be misunderstood, again, I've always been someone that had opposite defiance disorder, right? So I'd kind of do the opposite of what the authoritarians around me expected because I wanted to be seen as an individual. Yet at the same time, there was fear to be seen like that.
Yeah.
And so I really just had to kind of learn over the years that you're just not for everyone. But as long as you're being true to yourself and, sort of coming out and saying, okay, you may not understand me, that's okay. As long as you have that confidence to really be that, then you don't feel like you have to wear masks and, create a false self.
Yeah, and I know you and I have had lots of discussions about this, particularly in the realm of business and social media as well, and just finding a real disconnect at the moment between what we're seeing online, what business owners and businesses are trying to project, and feeling like everything's a little bit vanilla, where it's all mushing into, the same thing over and over again. And I don't know if it's because we've had social media now, for quite some time, but really finding connection and finding uniqueness and finding, as you said, authenticity. I know to me, I'm finding it more and more difficult, to be on those platforms because there isn't a lot on there that is making me stop the scroll and really dive in and dig a little bit deeper into what it is, because everything's just feeling very, very similar. And I call it the vanilla effect, when everyone just kind of blends into the same thing. And so I guess, what are some ways that we can really improve, connecting to that authentic self and being able to show up for who we truly are rather than trying to blend in? As you said, you've felt this growing up, through lots of different stages of your life. Is there a way that we can be, unique, but still have people, I guess, understand the work that we do and our, goals and what it is that we want to achieve with that?
For me, And I'm sure you're attracted to these people as well. The more that you are real, like even though you may be saying things that people are like almost shock value,
Yeah.
if you can show the vulnerability and that compassion and be relatable to people, that's where I've really noticed that, you know, I will follow certain people because of them showing up as themselves. But if you're, again, creating these false identities because you want to be liked and you want all these views, yet that's not really you, like people will start to see that.
Yeah.
And I feel, you know, as you said, it's very saturated out there where there's all these people that are, you know, suddenly tarot readers or healers and they want to be noticed. And unfortunately on social media, they're the ones that seem to get the most likes, like the tarot readers that are just doing, you know, general readings for people, compared to someone like myself that is an ascension teacher and bringing through information that people don't know about. It's kind of like, I don't get the views at the moment. So I feel this is where, yeah, especially like Instagram platforms, like there's just so many people that are pretending to be someone they're not, whether that's the coaching industry and their lifestyle and flaunting it. And then other people think, oh, well, I can have that when they're broke, you know? So we can kind of show up as someone that we want people to believe we are. However, the more that you're just real, I think that people are starting to gravitate towards us now.
Yeah. And I think there's a real mismatch, as you said, between what we're seeing on social media versus reality. And look, it's okay to also separate, you know, business from personal. Not everyone who runs a business has to also share everything that's happening in their personal life. Like I completely respect that. And I think that's totally okay. But we're also being guided, particularly over the last couple of years, I think, to have a mindset of be what it is that you see your future being now, even if it's not real, in order to manifest and have the things in your life that you want to have in your future. But I think it's gone next level. I think it's gone to the point of almost, you know, fakeness. You're faking it to make it, which is when that disconnect, you know, really starts to come in. So thank you, for raising that point and sharing that, because I've definitely seen it too. And I get the concept. Like, I understand, in order for you to be at that next level, you need to act as if, and there's lots of, you know, content and information around that, which I think is a completely separate podcast episode, but, you know, to act as if, but I think it's gone beyond the if, to the next degree. And that's definitely, as you said, you know, where the disconnect comes in, where it's just not authentic, it's not real. And everything is, starting to look and feel, you know, a little bit same.
That's right. And the more we just show up as us, even as I said, at the moment, people aren't seeing who we are yet. We are just being our true self every day. We don't need attention. We don't need likes. We're not putting content out when we don't feel like it, just to sort of show up on social media.
Yes.
I find that's really important for me, that if I am just getting a clear no to show up, then it's a clear no. Yet there's other days where I may put out 3 videos in one day because I've got this download and this message that I really want to share for people. And I find that when I'm being true to myself, that's when I kind of get more views. But if I'm showing up and I don't really want to do it, then it's just a waste of my time.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, again, totally resonates with me. And I'm with you. I don't follow a specific posting strategy anymore. I feel that if I have something of value to share, that's when I will post something. And that's sort of my measurement of when am I going to be visible, when am I going to be online. And as you said, it's when you get the download. Some days you may have more to say and more to share than others, and that's okay. And I think people really respect that, more so than forcing yourself to do something that's really out of alignment, and it's just not the right time or the right place, you know, to really, share that message. And when you have made that connection, you know, with the right people and the right audience, and you do start to work with them, What kind of transformations do your clients start to see when they're really tapping into that part of the business that they may not have even considered before?
Because I work on a multidimensional level, Doreen, so basically I work from, the past life selves, the now and a future version of themselves.
Yeah.
I take them on this journey. So it's important that I start with, well, what's showing up in your business right now. So some business owners may have had lots of, bad advisors around them where they lost everything, as an example. So they're scared to go up to the next level. They're scared to let's just say they bring in 250,000 a year and they want to go up to the next level. I help them identify with those fears, those traumas that are sitting on the soul level.
Yeah.
And so once they are able to even connect with that part of them, right? That's a huge aspect of my work, that I'm not just giving them words, like I'm getting them to really connect into that past life self that is really being traumatized with something that's happened.
Yeah.
And then they're able to kind of shift it and move through it. So it's really a journey that I take people on, whether it's an individual or on a business level. Like I tap into their subconscious fears, their programs, the belief systems, and then I kind of help them understand, well, where did this get set up in your past life history?
Yes.
Yeah. So by doing that, as I said, I find it difficult even now talking about my work, because it's really, you've got to work with me to understand how I do that, because it's on such a telepathic level that you can't even put words to it. Like you've worked with me, Doreen.
Yes, I have. And it's different for everybody, and the experience is different for everybody. And I think it's something that needs more awareness, because when you just stick to, I guess, old school business plans and the same thing isn't working, and you're trying it again and the same thing isn't working, looking at it from a different perspective and doing the work that you do with your clients really gives you, again, that added level that you've just not even remotely thought of, before, which I think is super important. And when it comes back, I guess, to your own business and your own visibility, what types of strategies have you found that's really effective for building those genuine connections with your audience? I know you mentioned sharing the downloads, and it may be 3 on one day and 0, on the next day. But what are some of the other things for our business owners that are listening that they can really use to build, their visibility online? What are some of the strategies that you've used?
Just being as true to yourself as you can, like when I tried to show up as what I thought my audience wanted.
Yep.
Again, it was almost like people knew I was out of alignment, out of integrity, not in truth.
Yeah.
So the more that you're fully aware of your soul gifts and your talents and your mission, that's really what I'm offering business owners. And you're trying to fit into a category because it sounds good. I have so many business owners who have thought, oh, that idea sounds great because I got it from a coach. And I'm like, well, your soul is saying, no, this is not the right path. Let's just tweak it a little bit. Like, it's not the right wording. The title you got isn't correct. Yes. As soon as you change the title, then that opens a door and you're now relatable. So if you're trying to fit into a mold because you think it sounds good, that may not be working for that business owner.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And that changes the whole pathway forward. Just by changing a title or a name or the thing that you're doing completely alters the future, doesn't it, really? I mean, once you make that, it sounds like a simple little change, but it has great impact.
Because we're kind of programmed to believe that this sounds cool. Like even growing up as a child, and we're like, oh, the label of being a lawyer or
a doctor.
A doctor sounds cool.
Yeah.
And, I've really had that a lot. It was like, well, you don't have a degree. And I'm like, I've been a master of the Akashic Records for thousands of lifetimes. There's not many people that can do it at my level. I don't need to prove myself to you. Like, I am just showing up as me. and people feel like the truth of that, like they'll always gravitate towards someone who really knows themselves. But if you're
Yes.
trying to be somebody you're not because, you know, your parents don't approve of you and you're hiding that part of you away, especially a spiritual self. I just find a lot of business owners now are wanting to connect more to their intuition instead of, you know, kind of not wanting to believe that they have these abilities. The more that they learn to tap into that and trust and back their choices, then yes, their business will succeed.
Yeah, fantastic. I love it. Love, love, love it. And looking back, what's one thing you wish you knew when you started your business? If there's anything that you can shed a light on, again, for other business owners that might be still very new in their journey, anything that you wish you knew when you started?
Definitely do not compare yourself to anyone. Like looking back, I'm like, okay, I felt like I needed to, you know, again, have a title. Let's put out their soulmates and twin flames, because at that timeline, that felt really important that people identified with what I did.
Yeah.
Yet the more you start to unpack this, you know, unique aspect of you, I need to find what makes me unique and different.
Yeah.
And then you don't need to compare or compete with anyone else. And that's something that I really struggled with, because again, it's kind of like when you're showing up as doing something different, you feel like you have to conform and you have to fit in so you are relatable.
Yeah.
I don't sort of care about that so much now. I'm like, okay, the right people who really resonate with me will book in.
Yes.
And then they'll refer me to others, because then it's like, okay, I had this amazing experience with Daniela.
Yeah.
Okay, she doesn't do this or this, but what she does is very unique. So again, it's confidence in who you are.
Yes.
Yeah, that's something I just didn't have when I first started out. And also the fact that I am here to empower people and not give them all the answers. So I had a lot of people pleasing when I first started out. It was like I wanted to be liked.
Yes.
You know, had the identity as the healer. And that was very limiting, because when you kind of say, this is who I am, you get a lot of people that don't want to do the inner work. They just want the answers.
Yes.
And I find my work now, it's kind of like, not giving them all the answers, but getting them to look within and go, oh, what feels right for me, which is so much more empowering. So they're the two things that I just wished.
And they're huge things. And so many of us go through that too. Comparisonitis is what I like to label it or call it, when, you're looking at everyone else around you who might be in the same industry and you're thinking, I need to be doing what they're doing. And I know I did exactly that too when I started. I had a clear mission and a clear goal and a values. And then that kind of changed, over time. But what I found was probably at the 5-year mark, I was circling back to my original why and the true mission and why I wanted to start my business to begin with. And it's really interesting to see the journey that you go on, because obviously throughout, your business journey and life, certain things happen, certain things come in your pathway, you're making decisions, you're making choices, you're being guided, you're being told to go right when really the best way is to go left, but you don't know these things until you work through them. And then you can start to grow and look beyond, as we said before, the basic things or the normal things that we do, like our 5-page business plans, and being guided by things that work for other people, but they're not necessarily the right pathways or the right things for us. And that takes some time, to work through. And it's not something that just happens overnight either. But definitely through working with you, and I have worked one-on-one with you as well, and the way we've been able to really dig deep when it came to the business and looking at, certain things, exactly as you said, maybe conforming to certain things, or, the whole comparisonitis component as well, and going, okay, well, what's actually you in all of this, and how can we make that really stand out instead of just blending in, as we said before, and becoming vanilla.
And doing things that you think you're meant to be doing when the soul part of you or the business entity is saying something polar opposite. And that's again where I find my work just so unique because people, you know, again, like there's business coaches out there, they've got they've got their own strategies and way that they do things. However, I feel like people are really starting to understand that spiritual perspectives and seeing things on a higher level has so much value now, and it's becoming more open for people.
Yeah, and I think it's something we're really searching for, because there are blueprints that work for others. It doesn't necessarily mean that that exact same blueprint is going to work for you. And this is where I see a lot of people doing lots of courses and coaching. They're following the same formulas as someone else, but they're not seeing the same outcomes and results. And it's like, well, that blueprint worked for that specific person based on their own gifts and their soul purpose and the things that they're meant to be doing. You can't just duplicate someone else's blueprint and expect the same outcomes and results. And I think that's taken me nearly 7 years to work that out, that, I can sign up to all these different programs and courses, but I'm probably not going to see the same results that, they've recorded and that they've seen in their own business, because I am not them and they are not me. And
I love that.
That's a really difficult thing sometimes to come to terms with, especially when you've made so many investments to try and grow and improve yourself and your business. But at the end of the day, yes, we all have our own individual soul calling and blueprint, and it's really about tapping into that for true success in our business and life. Yeah.
I love that, and something I just wanted to add for your listeners, which I've only sort of just started to recognize as well. Like, everything is energy. So if there's things within the business that aren't in alignment with, let's just say, a higher frequency, you may have negativity in the business. That brings the whole consciousness of the business down. So that's why it's important that everyone in the company is in the correct roles, because if someone's bored and they don't want to be there, like, that's going to lower the consciousness right down of the business. So frequency is everything. And that's what I tend to work on for companies. It's like, where is the business, out of alignment?
Mm-hmm. And every business has its own soul.
Yes.
It's birthing something. When you start a business and launch a business, you're actually, like, it's birthing a new entity. It's got its own soul. It's got its own energy, its own, bits and components to it, separate from you.
Exactly. It has sometimes a completely different way of looking at things. It's fascinating.
It is, isn't it? And once you dive in, it's like seeing it, and now I can't unsee it. But it's just getting that awareness and knowing that, these things do exist, and sometimes it takes obviously a few bumps and a few hurdles, before you get to the point of being open and ready. And I think that's another really important thing that we need to touch on, is that the type of work that you do one-on-one or with, corporates, you need to be open to receiving the information. Because if you're not open to it and you think, it's just woo-woo, it's not something that's relevant to us, where, this way, and you're kind of in a different direction. If you're not open to really listening and receiving, then it's not something that's going to make much of an impact. Is that a fair call to make?
Well, yeah, I've got a beautiful man I'm working for at the moment, and I gave him my business proposal 18 months ago, and he just wasn't ready to surrender the control. Right? Like, he had to have full control, full ownership of the business. And I get that it's difficult when you're kind of bringing in someone like myself who changes the energetics of the structure of the business. So you're right. Like, you've got to be willing to kind of surrender the ego and just allow me to come in with this new advice. And even though maybe, different to something you've heard before, just to give it a go. Like, that's the results that my business owners are already getting. Like I said, it was just the way that he's interacting with his clients via email was just, it was very impersonal, and it was all about him. So that's what we're in the process of changing now, to have me in control of the emails and get better results. So yeah, it's all trial and error. Like not everything will work. However, yeah, it's kind of having that trust that I can support you.
Absolutely. And if our listeners do want to get in touch and work with you one-on-one, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Definitely email while I'm still completing my beautiful website.
Yep.
So yeah, email 100% is the easiest way.
Excellent. So I will drop that into our show notes as well. And our audience can also connect with you on social media. So what platforms are you currently sharing your beautiful messages on?
So I'm on all social media. Definitely LinkedIn is one of my main ones. And most people reach out either Facebook Messenger or Instagram at this point. Yeah.
Beautiful. So I'm going to drop all of your handles under our show notes as well. But again, it's been a jam-packed interview with you today. I'm so glad that you said yes to being a return guest as well. Thank you so much for your time, your energy. So thank you again for joining us today.
Oh, it's always an honor, Doreen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for giving this show a listen, and don't forget to leave your feedback and rating. If you want to learn more about me or my services, please jump on over to letsgetvisible.com.au, where you'll find show notes and links to my social media profiles so you can connect there as well. Okay, well, that's a wrap for another episode. So I'll join you next time on the Let's Get Visible podcast. You know, man.